All right, check this out. So you hear me say consistency is a superpower, and that habit is the trick to developing that consistency. Well, that doesn't mean that you still don't use discipline or motivation. So I'm going to explain how you can stack the three into an unstoppable combination. So when talking about habit, I often use the example of brushing your teeth or going to work. But like both of those examples, even though you're used to doing them day to day, there are some days where you might need a little bit more caffeine to get up and going. Now, the discipline part is the practice of making sure that you have your coffee, your pre-workout, or your caffeine pill, however it is that you get your morning stimulus, prepared the night before. Discipline is the practice of making sure that you do the things beforehand to set yourself up for success. Just because something's a habit doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easier or harder to do. It just means that you're going to do it. But if you want to set yourself up for success and make it a lot less painful to do, whether you do it or not, that's where the discipline comes in of doing the preparation beforehand. Setting your clothes out, making sure your meals are prepared beforehand, checklists, scheduling, things like this. This is how discipline supports habit. Okay, so let's talk about motivation. Let's talk about the coffee itself. When it comes to training and nutrition, because at the end of the day, that's really what we're talking about here, folks, is diet and exercise. There's a couple different ways you can skin the motivation angle. Probably the most important thing that I want to mention in this video is that you want to save your most stimulative motivational tools for when you need them most, so use them the least often. Let's say, what's something that everyone knows? Like Ronnie Coleman, right? Yeah, buddy, lightweight, that kind of stuff. If that really motivates you, don't listen to that every day, because it will become less and less motivational, less and less stimulative the more you listen to it. If you have that one song or that group of songs or that artist or that album that really gets you going, don't listen to that every day. Don't listen to that when you have a good night's sleep and you actually feel like getting up and training. You actually feel like hitting the highway and heading to work, because you don't need it those days. This kind of gets into a deeper discussion of sympathetic and parasympathetic drives. Sympathetic drives meaning fight or flight, parasympathetic meaning, relax, recover. If you're awake, alert, motivated, and well rested, you don't necessarily want to throw yourself into fight or flight unnecessarily. Reason being, sympathetic drive causes a spike in cortisol. Now, that's not a bad thing, because cortisol is actually a hormone to liberate fuel for energy. It's part of the natural stress response to doing anything vigorous in nature, so that's okay. But again, we don't necessarily want to pull that lever when we don't have to. So all that to say, save those very stimulative, highly motivational things that you like to do for like competition or when you're really dragging in the morning, and then try to rely day to day on the lesser stimulative things, so that you kind of have a little secret weapon in your back pocket for when habit isn't quite cutting it, discipline is a struggle, and you need that little bit of extra oomph in the morning to get going. Thanks everyone for supporting the channel. Consistency is a superpower. Stay in the fight.